Welcome to the Ranchonomics Podcast, where we empower you to build a better ranch and transform your operations into a thriving business. I'm your host, John Haskell. Let's get started. Well, Kim Barker, welcome to the Ranchonomics Podcast. Great to have you back. How are you?
Great to be here. I'm doing good.
Very good. Well, we are going to talk today about the nature of opportunities. In particular, we're going to talk about unforeseen opportunities. And you and I have had a conversation about this that I think is absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to ask you to dive in and give me some thoughts here.
All right. Interrupt me anytime. Put me back on track.
You bet.
So one of the things that I see as an overlooked opportunity is drought. In 2011, 12, and 13, we were really dry. Sold 2/3 of my cows. And then on our last podcast, we talked about my daughter Lacey leasing cows, and we started to transition, getting her involved and getting her to take over and getting her in the cattle business. And none of that would happen without that drought.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would have transitioned or where we'd be today, but without that drought, it wouldn't have worked out the way it did, and it wouldn't have worked out as good as it did, I don't believe either.
Yep. So explain a little about that. How did great opportunity come out of drought?
Well, I'd sold 2/3 of my cows, and then in 2014, cattle were too high to buy back. I've been doing this long enough, I knew better than that. So we started looking for some cows to lease. So we leased some cattle on a 65-35 split, got Lacey in the cattle business without any debt, and started the transition of her taking over and me getting out of the way. I'm having too much fun to quit, so it's a slow process. Then she was able to buy land, and it got her off to a really good start. And like I say, I don't know where we'd be today if that drought hadn't have occurred the way it did, but I'm sure we wouldn't be in as good a shape as we're in right now.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Did you feel that way at the time?
No, not at all. When you get into a drought like that, everybody's got junk they can sell, and then you cut a little deeper, and this was the worst drought of my life. The last cut I made was I sold every cow that had a bull calf.
Yeah.
Kept my heifer calves,
Yeah.
So I'd cut way down, and then cattle are really high, and here's this huge opportunity. I don't have any cows left,
Yep.
So.
And I think, your assessment of that drought being the worst of your life, there were lots of sources that would argue that drought of 11-12 in the South Plains was comparable to the 50s drought, right?
Well, I was born in 51, so I don't remember, but I think it was. We've had droughts. Alan Nations wrote one time that droughts in the West are typically a year and a half, and in the East are 6 months. Well, this was 3 years. And before this, I always thought with my grazing management, I was pretty well drought proof. Well, I found out I wasn't.
Yeah, they're just it's just kind of like someday you're gonna meet one that's a little bigger, right? If you wait long enough, probability says you're gonna get there. So,
and it seemed like there's always one somewhere,
Yep. Very, very true. And funny enough, even now, so we've generally had a pretty good year across a lot of the country, but there are parts of the upper Midwest, Ohio, Indiana that are in it, parts of the Southeast that have been in it here for a while. So we are a big country, and there is almost always some drought somewhere. I think the high line up in Montana has been pretty dry too. And of course, north of us, British Columbia has northern British Columbia is or sort of, I guess, middle, but the northern part of where there are people that live, they've been in a terrible drought now, and I think they're in their 4th year in that. So
yeah, well, there's probably opportunities there,
right?
I'm not seeing, but we can kind of prepare for drought. So you think about, well, what am I going to sell, and when am I going to sell, and where am I going to sell? Because we ended up sending some cows. At that time, everything north of I-70 was really wet, so we ended up selling some cows in Nebraska, and they're probably about $1,000 more than they would have here. So think about where you're going to sell as well.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, what are you going to keep and why?
2 very, very important decisions. Yes.
Why am I keeping this one? You need to have a reason.
Yep, I agree. Most of us make those decisions without very much information. With a little bit of information, we can really improve the quality of our decision making there, right?
And we start making them too late.
Yeah. Good point.
So if you're prepared, you can jump on a little quicker.
Yeah, good.
Around here, on a typical year, if we're not pretty wet by the end of March, we're not going to have a very good spring, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the first red flag for me is spring moisture, you know. But
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. And we have something similar here in Wyoming. University of Wyoming studied this. 90% of our grass growth is determined by the rainfall we get before, I want to say it's the 20th of May. I don't remember the details, but
right, yeah, yeah,
there's kind of a cutoff date where it's like, if it ain't happened by now, it probably isn't going to.
right.
Yep.
Well,
Okay, good.
the other one I think is a opportunity that's overlooked is other people's drought.
Okay.
Wally talks about how cows are a $50 truck ride from green grass. So 4 years ago, we were wet and had lots of grass, but a young man came to me and had some cover crops he wanted me to know if I'd use. So I said, well, let me think about what I do with that. So I called around and started checking where it was dry. And 5 hours away, I could buy cows $500 cheaper than I could right here. So I
Not bad.
so I put them on his feed, and then we kept them out and kept them through the winter and sold them. And it was a very good thing. So other people's drought may be an opportunity for you,
Love it.
and then
Good.
other people's feed is goes right along with that. I mean,
Yep.
and there's parts of the country where it's routine to graze corn stalks and milo stalks, and it just happens all the time. But I've noticed the last few years there's a lot of people playing with cover crops that they get this crop growing and they got tons of feed out there and they don't have any cattle, they don't have any fence, they don't have any
Yep.
water.
Yep.
But if you're set up to put up some fence and figure out a water and have the expertise to handle cattle in a kind of a crude situation, there's a huge opportunity there with other people's feed, maybe in parts of the country where that's not a common thing.
Yep. Very good.
So I saw that as a good opportunity. And I have a friend that in central Kansas, the only time his cows are ever on grass is when there's not something else. I mean, his stocking rate is based on other people's feed.
Good. Explain that a little more.
Well, he grazes a lot of milo stocks. He's got his cattle trained where he can pretty well load them with a polywire and doesn't have to have a great corral set up or anything to go get them moving down the
Excellent.
road. He's just set up. His cows are trained, and he's set up to do that. Got the fence infrastructure and the knowledge and expertise to do that. So instead of having 10 cows on 100 acres, he might have 100 cows that are on that 10 acres 2 months of the year because
Yep.
they're always somewhere else, you know.
Yep. Love it.
So I
Very
don't
good.
know, expertise and a little bit of portable infrastructure gives you a lot of opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like it.
And then if you can combine other people's drought with other people's feed, well, and your expertise, that can be a gold mine. So,
Yeah, and in this day and age, people run cows all over the country, right? And maybe not much in Alaska, right? But
right,
but all other 49 states, and we have the ability to communicate with people in a way that's different from what it's been in the past. We have the ability to see market data differently than we've been able to in the past. We have the ability to sell and buy differently than we've been able in the past. I mean, it really opens up a tremendous number of opportunities because of that type of flexibility, right?
right.
Yeah.
But it
Okay.
creates a need for a little bit different education than I grew up with, too.
Right. Right.
Figure out how you get on a Zoom call or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Case in point, right here. Right. Very
Well,
good.
another one that I think is real obvious is high prices. And there's
Mm,
obvious things about that, and then maybe some not so obvious. It's a good time to pay down debt, and it's a good time to make upgrades in infrastructure if you need to, if you need them.
yeah.
I mean, up infrastructure and machinery, but only if you need them. I mean, it's not a good time to just go buy stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it needs to be
Don't
something
just do it to avoid the tax payment. Have a plan. Right.
useful. That's a good
Yep.
time to accumulate cash, of course. And like with a drought, it's a great time to clean up your cow herd because everybody's got some junk they don't need and some cows that are not that great, you know, and too big.
Yep.
And as Bert Teichert said, it's sell the ugly ones, however you define that,
Yep.
whether it's spots or horns or disposition or whatever it is. It's time to clean up. And it's a great time to make massive changes in what you do
Yeah.
because it's a great time to move your calving from middle of winter to spring and your marketing from fall to spring and capitalize on lowering your cost and hitting a higher market. You know, if you're doing that when cattle are cheap, you may not have the flexibility to do that. You may need every nickel to make the payments. But if you're doing it when prices are high, you can stand a little bit of pain and you got a little bit of cushion, and it's just a really good time to make some changes that can pay off huge for years.
A lot of folks make New Year's resolutions. Eat better, work out more, get organized. But if you're running a ranch, the best resolution you can make this year is to finally get your numbers in order. At RanchRite, we build financial systems that make sense for real ranch operations, bookkeeping, reporting, and strategy that work in the real world. Make this the year you stop guessing and start managing with clarity. Learn more at ranchritellc.com. And in cow-calf operations right now, what we're seeing with the price of things is generally we have greater margin. We've said a million times, margin adds flexibility, right? If you're not scrambling for every last penny to make the mortgage payment or the, whatever debt payment you need or to feed your family, that's a great time to sort of reinvest that and make a better operation for the future, right?
Right. Along with that, it's a great time to invest in education.
Right.
Who
Good.
cares to pay for a ranching for profit school or a soil health school or a Wally marketing school or holistic management? I mean, there's lots of places you can get
Yep.
education that's going to pay off for years.
Yep.
The cattle this high, it doesn't hurt much to go. I mean,
Yep.
doesn't cost much to go. 2 kids will pay for a lot.
And I'll add that education, like many other expenses, is also tax deductible. So in a lot of times you're getting that at a, 12 to 30% discount, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Another one I've seen is I'm going to say family issues, but young folks wanting to come back to the ranch or the farm, and there's not enough room and there's not enough income and not enough enterprises. I've heard of deals where uncles were involved and cousins, and it was a way bigger mess than just mom and dad. And rather than fight that, it might be better to go look for something somewhere else. I mean, it might be a huge opportunity somewhere else without fighting that battle. And it's better to put your positive energy into building something than it is to fight for the status quo, which is probably stagnating anyway. So I think there's huge opportunity to look around if there's family issues. I've seen both sides of that. I've seen them where they did stick around and fight and it just didn't work out, or not fight necessarily, but tried to make their way and it just didn't work out. And then I've seen where they went on down the road and it worked out great. So even family issues is an opportunity, I think.
Yep. Excellent. Very, very good.
And then I don't know if I should touch on my own life, but my folks
Please.
got divorced when I was 20 years old, and and I was the oldest of 4 kids. My mom got all the land and all the debt, and we worked and paid off the land, and I kind of moved into taking that over and renting it and all that. If that had not happened, I don't know who I would be or where I would be today. I mean, I wouldn't wish that misfortune on anybody, but
Correct.
back on my life, I never had anybody tell me that something was a stupid idea. I never had anybody tell me, you can't do that. I was do any stupid thing I wanted to do, and I've done plenty, but I've also learned and lived a pretty good life, I feel like. So, like I say, that was a hidden opportunity that at the time nobody would have ever thought that was an opportunity. But looking backwards, it was huge.
Yep. Absolutely agreed. So let's talk about the difference between an opportunity and a crisis. The things you have described have all been things that could be described either way. What is it that gets us from one to the other?
Well, I think you have to have the mindset of looking for an opportunity. And I think you need to realize that crisis and problems are very often have really good opportunities hidden in them. They're there. You just can't see them because you're focused on the crisis. And so,
Let me jump in on that just a minute. One of my favorite books is Man's Search for Meaning, written by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish concentration camp survivor in Nazi Germany. His writing, he's written this Man's Search for Meaning is a fairly small book. You can read it fairly quickly, but it's fairly impactful. But he argues it again and again that the last of human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude. I'm paraphrasing, right? But that's what
right.
he talks about. And exactly what you are describing here, you talk about drought on your own place as though it is an opportunity, right? Most people don't describe it that way. That this is something that makes Kim Barker and Wally Olson and a number of people I know different from everybody else, right? In that you have the ability to sort of work past the, feeling sorry for yourself because there is a crisis and going to the opportunity. Most of us probably don't do that quickly enough. We all, again, when we talk about, did you think that first drought was a great thing at the time? Did you think your parents getting divorced was a great thing at the time? The answer I assume is no.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
Not even close, right? But what good is it going to do to sit around and cry about it, right? I mean, there's sort of a point where you have to move on from there, right?
Yeah, but you got to be looking for, okay, what's next?
Yep.
What, and thinking positive. I think thinking positive is important.
And I'll just say that if we are not looking for the opportunity, we're not going to find it. It
That's right.
rarely jumps up and smacks us in the face. We have to be looking for it. And then, funny enough, if you're looking, you will see it.
Right.
Right.
And there is a caveat. I mean, you need to know yourself and
Yes.
know what you can do and what you will do. Wally talks
Yep.
about this in the schools, but sometimes it's okay to say no to an opportunity.
Absolutely.
It may not be for me.
Yep.
And you may not have the feed or the resources or the infrastructure or the help, or you may be getting old like me, and or you may be have a real low risk tolerance. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to say this opportunity is not for me, and that's okay. An opportunity that's going to create problems is not really an opportunity. But you still need to be looking for the ones that you can do,
Right.
or that fit you, or that you will do.
And from my life, I don't know about yours, I've rarely been stuck with only one choice, right? I'm amazed how often, if I'm really looking, there are multiple choices, and I can choose amongst those which ones suit my situation, my circumstances, my abilities the best.
Right. I
Yeah,
agree.
very good.
And then there's also it may be an opportunity to pass that opportunity on to somebody else. I told you this story about getting my daughter started. Well, we had an opportunity because of the droughts, and I was leasing this ranch 25 miles from home. It was 4,000 acres. And my daughter said, "You need to get rid of that ranch because you're spending all your time driving up and down the road. You need to be teaching me."
Yep.
And I said, "You're right, I do." So about that time, a 22-year-old young man came to me and wanted to know if I knew where he could find some grass. So I moved him in there with got him and the owner hooked up, and they got along. And so this guy's been there 6 or 7 years now, and here we are at the top of the market, and he's getting ready to sell $150,000 worth of old cows and put the money in the bank and lease some cows on a per head per month deal and some on a heifer calf deal. So he's going to come out of this with his expenses paid along the way and appreciating heifer calves and cash in the bank. And it's because I gave him the opportunity and because he took the opportunity. I mean, he could have walked away from that, but he's done
Yep.
well. He's done well with it. But there's opportunities to help people. To me, that's as valuable as me doing it. I mean, how many 22-year-old young guys are there in that situation? Not too many.
Right. Not too many. And let's talk a little more about that because that touches on the sort of building our network, the importance of relationships, that sort of thing. And that this, to me, the people around us often can help us determine whether a crisis is an opportunity or not.
That's right. Yeah. And most of the deals we've talked about that I've done over the years, they happened because of the network of people that I have, where I could just call somebody and get information on their conditions and then their opportunities and their crisis and figure out what to do from there.
Yeah.
And then just knowing people that to help. Now, who's got the expertise I need, or who can tell me who to call. I mean,
Mhm. Well,
there
and
are,
even like your example of the cover crop people before, the fact that you were aware of those,
right.
that literally starts with getting out and talking to people. We've seen the same thing with cover crops, and especially recently as row crop, cash crop profitability has been so poor lately. Cover crops have been a wonderful option, and boy, what a great opportunity for a grazer because we've seen cases where in cold weather states, northern states, you have these cover crops and that allow us a very low cost and a very impressive animal performance on a daily basis. There's some limitations in the fact that the people that have those cover crops are often farmers and don't know cattle. But boy, there is a tremendous opportunity there if we're willing to dig in.
Yeah, I agree. So, to kind of wrap up, well, I think we just need a mindset of looking for opportunities, even in times of crisis and problems. We'll just slow down and, okay, what's the way out of this, and
Yep.
what can I do to make this good? And sometimes there's something there. And then we can prepare for opportunities. We can learn livestock marketing and handling and get a couple of miles of extra hot wire and the toys to go with it and be ready if that opportunity comes along, both personally and infrastructure wise. And most of that stuff we can learn, and we need to learn to crunch the numbers, crunch them several different ways. When this young guy came to me and wanted me to graze this cover crop, he wanted $100 an acre for it. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous.
Whoa.
I can leave grass for $15, but he probably could have cut 500 bales of hay off of that. A lot of feed there.
Uh-huh.
So we strip grazed that and had about 200 cows on it for months, and it was huge. And I gave him $100 an acre, and it's still huge. So crunch the numbers. Your first guess may be, well, that's ridiculous, and it may be a really good thing. So learn to crunch the numbers. And then, like you said, the network of people. I mean, that to me, that's huge.
Yeah.
I met Savory in 87, 88. Started managing my grazing, going to grazing conferences, and I have this network of people all over the world. And to me, the last 40 years, that's the best thing I've done, is that network of people. That's the most valuable thing I have.
Yeah.
That network of people.
And the cool thing to me, I just actually spoke this weekend on this very topic, is that network becomes more valuable the older you get. Right. You don't have much of a network when you're 15 or 20 or 25. And then by the time you're 35, hopefully it's bigger. And at 45, hopefully it's bigger. But it's amazing how the people we knew 20 years ago that, we were all young and kind of dumb, like, boy, a lot of those people turn out to be really smart and go on to do great things. And sometimes we can really help each other later on in life.
That's right.
Yeah, very, very good. Well,
And
Kim, I think
widen network, because everybody around you, they're all thinking alike anyway. So
right.
widen that network.
Yeah, and there's something to be said even just for geographical distance, right? One of the things we visited about this a moment ago, but those people that are sort of suffering in the same problem you are at the same time might not be the best ones to help you think it through. Whereas if you've got somebody far away who's not in drought, they may be able to see and think about opportunities that you are not able to see.
That's right. Yeah.
First day of the Ranching for Profit School, I always emphasize that the answer is in the team. And this is something I've come to believe really, really strongly, that when we have a team of people that we can talk to even, and just visit about things with, it's amazing how we come up with better ideas. We get better solutions when we have put more heads together.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Very good.
Anyway, look for opportunities.
Uh-huh.
They're out there.
Yep. Very good. Well, Kim, I think what you are describing is, really the most important mindset that we can adopt in doing this. Over and over again, we talk about how that is a limiting factor for most people. This mindset that problems or crises are, ultimately wind up to be our greatest opportunities is a hard one to adapt in the near term. But I think most of us can see evidence of that in our lives in the long term. We don't look back at the times that were easy as the times that really formed us and helped us. We often look at the times that were very difficult as the things that really made us who we are. It's often not fun being made into who you are or made into who you're meant to be, but that's the experience we get to live, right? And we often don't get to choose what those things are. They're kind of foisted on us. But if we assume the victim role, we're definitely not better off. If we take an attitude of, looking for opportunity, we always can make things better.
Yep, I agree.
Awesome.
And one other thing about a network, I don't see myself as a very creative guy, but I'll steal ideas from anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Give them credit. I'm not going to take credit for them. But
yep.
The more bigger your network, the more creative people you know.
Well, and I'm amazed even if you have a network of not very creative people, it's impressive how just different people come up with different stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, sometimes a really creative person and they're great at spitting ideas out, but even 3 or 4 not very creative people are way better than one, right?
That's right. Yep.
Maybe they've seen one thing differently than everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. Love it.
Yep.
All right. Kim, anything else we want to add on?
Oh, I've told you everything I know, I think. So
This is wonderful. Thank you.
no
I
problem.
really appreciate it. Kim Barker, I really appreciate you calling me. I love it when you call me with a list. These are fun things to talk about. So I look forward to doing it again. And you have a great afternoon, and we will talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into the Ranchnomics podcast. We hope this episode helped you win today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend.